Hey everyone, and welcome to Razor's Edge. Jim here. I am joined by Lucy, who's going to be doing the tactical overview in some heists. And we also have Felix, who is going to do a massive deep dive into something probably everyone has either seen or touched. It's the hacking. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lucy to start with, and these are going to be broken into two sections in a chapter, so you'll easily be able to go to whichever, if you want tactical, you want hacking, or you want both. So it's going to make it real convenient for you. And we will skip the introductions because they can introduce themselves as they do their demos, and we'll go from there. So thank you again for joining us, and look forward to your feedback, and hopefully you get some takeaway from this.
All right. So this mission it's a hacking only mission. You can only take one merc. It has to be a hacker. This is my hacker. I'm going to start the mission. And it is a little bit different in the sense that there's no combat, there's no nothing, right? Like all I have to do is hack. However, the good part about this is you don't get thrown in immediately. You can technically, I could run around if I wanted to. I don't because that's a stupid idea. But it simulates exactly how it would look in a real mission. So you come in and you run to the matrix host with your hacker, right? You're in front of it, and then you left click it, and the cool animation that you mentioned earlier fires. You're inside. And the first thing I usually do is I zoom out, I get an idea of the layout. You know, how's it built up? Sometimes it goes in a circle, sometimes it has like 3 different prongs that you need to complete. This time it has 2. I have 5 turns, which is fairly. That's a moderate time limit. For me, they jump anywhere from 3 to 7, and if you have 3 turns, probably it would only be half the size.
Right. And obviously somebody that's just starting off the game is probably going to have only three different nodes. Yeah. Okay.
They're going to be way smaller in the beginning. You can also check the network access host. Essentially, that's the AI that you're playing against. They have a difficulty rating. Up here, mine's yellow right now. I just grabbed a random mission. Okay. And it goes from gray, and it says weakest in the tooltip, then green, yellow, orange, red, and ultra. I have not seen ultra. I have seen 1 red, I think. And then there's also the QSEC AI. That's just the AI type, and it goes from, they're all snakes, goes from boa, sidewinder, timber rattler, the pit viper, and the diamond cobra. This one's a sidewinder, so it's a bit on the lower end, which is fine. I'm not 100% certain. I'm kind of sad that Corey jumped out because he would have been able to tell me. I think that each of these has a different preference in terms of what they do to you, because the SEC AI, as we will see in a moment here, they have various tools at their disposal to make your life miserable. Right? But now that we've surveyed the area, we can start the hack. I would personally, again, just as with combat gameplay in the maps, there's different approaches. You can go quiet, you can go loud, you can go a mixture of both. You can even try and sneak through without killing anyone. There are different approaches to hacking as well. There's one that a lot of people adopt later when the becomes difficult, which is the nukes threat, where you just absolutely destroy everything.
Okay.
That one, I can't speak to that because I don't use it. I like to, use what I would say like the normal standard approach. That being said, one thing that I would recommend everybody do, no matter what you play, is max the overclock talent.
Got it.
It's one of the baseline 3 talents. You start with points in it, and you can then proceed to put every point you have in it as well. Essentially, what it does is it gives you more AP, so you get more action, more actions. It gives you input-output speed. The input-output speed is essentially like in real life, when you have an upload and a download, it limits how many programs you can use in a given turn. And I'll go over the details in a second here. And then it also gives you more damage. It does damage your connection, which is something to keep in mind. And it lasts 3 turns, which usually means it's active for the entire hack. Like, unless I have to disconnect for other reasons, it generally lasts the entire hack. So I'm going to activate it now. And then I'm also going to activate Hard Shell, because that one gives me temporary HP. You can see those up here. Deck Shield. And then I also have some deck armor from my attributes. And that one's important because what the AI will do, it'll attack your deck directly, so it'll try and inflict damage to you. And if you don't have armor or shield, your deck will get damaged and eventually break. And if that happens, you need to repair it. Repairing takes time, it's expensive. You don't want to do that. Okay, let me go over the basics when it comes to programs. I mentioned input, output, and I also mentioned memory. So input, output, let's look at this program here. It has, I can't move my mouse, but you can see the blue up and down arrows in the description for the program on the right. Those blue up and down arrows, that's essentially the file size. Like, this program is 140 units large. So uploading it costs me 140 input and output. It's just called that IO. And it also will take 140 of my active memory, because if you load a program, if you've ever used a computer, that program gets loaded into something, and that's your memory. Okay. My Cyber deck has 1,200 memory. Very rarely is memory an issue for me. In the beginning, when you start out hacking, your memory is very much a concern, so you won't be able to have more than 2 or 3 of these active at a time, which means you have to choose what you want to activate based on the situation. The most basic program that you will always need is scan. Right here it says scan 3. I use the 3.0 version of the program, and it says it examines current and linked matrix nodes for type and any resident IC or files. IC intrusion countermeasures, they are programs that fight against you. I'm going to activate that. It goes into my memory. I now have it active, which means you can now see, and as a result of that, it now tells me here C for a scan, and it's every node has a scan level, and it's either 0 out of 2, 1 out of 2, or 2 out of 2. So I press C, and it scans this node to 2 out of 2, and when you scan a node to 2 out of 2, the adjacent nodes, so the ones that are directly connected, they go to 1 out of 2.
Okay.
At a scan,
and I also noticed that your sec level is going up.
Yes. No, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
The QSec level is separate from the security level in the mission. That one is really important. So if you're really careful in meat space, as we call it, where you run around and you don't escalate the security, you can do in here what you want. Like, I can go out of here with like security level 25, and it does go to that high sometimes. It doesn't matter because it doesn't have an impact on the security level in the mission. There is one exception where you can actually do something in the matrix to lower your security level in the mission. And if we get that far, I'll explain it. But
okay, let me play let me play the newbie. In the around the node at the 2 that are flashing with the red is the and I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it like an idiot. But you've got what looks like a radar dish on the top one. You've got 2 of those, which I assume are like scan. And is the blue like a firewall?
So yes and no. You got a couple of things right, and you got a couple of things wrong, which is not your fault because there's no way you would know without having seen it before. Okay. Based on how a node looks, you can see what it is. So I will click this, and you can see this is called an access node. So it credentials checkpoint node designed to verify user authority. These are the most basic nodes. They don't have any loot for you to steal, never. And usually they tend to have not very aggressive countermeasures. these are really just designed to block your progress and slow you down a little bit for the most part.
Okay.
They can't really hurt you, with one exception. But they are there and they are annoying. Now at the bottom, I mentioned, right, let's go quickly over the scan. I scanned 2 out of 2, which means that this one and this one, they're now at 1 out of 2. Just as a, if you go to 2 out of 2, the adjacent ones go to 1 out of 2.
Mm-hmm.
At 1 out of 2, the system reveals all non-hidden intrusion countermeasures. There's only one type. So at the bottom here, you can see the basic 3 programs that I can use to disable IC. There's the wall, which, who would have thought it actually matches the wall that I see here. There's this program, which is called Deception, which has a little radar screen, which matches these ones up here. Mm-hmm. And then there's a third type of IC, which we will encounter shortly. And this one is the spider web, and that's for traps. So it actually says here permanently disables a target trap IC. Traps have the specific distinction of not being visible at a scan level of 1 out of 2. They can only be seen either when you trigger them, which is bad, or when you scan, when you try to scan to 2 out of 2. As a rule, as a gameplay rule, you can just absolutely rely on this. Access nodes never have trap IC. Doesn't happen. So, which means that if I scan and I see this node, I now know, okay, so these 3 walls, that's all there is. It's not going to be anything else. Now that I know that, the general way the Matrix gameplay works is that if you are inside a node, anything on that node can react to things you do. Which means before you go inside a node, before I hit connect here, I want to prepare myself as well as I can, because if I go in now and then I realize, wait, I didn't load my program here into active memory, and you have to do it while on this node, I can promise you right now, one of these 3 is a program that prevents you from loading stuff. So if you go in and you don't have it loaded, you can't load it while on that node. And there's a chance that one of the other 2 things is a program that prevents your ability to connect to a node. So if I go in here now, there's a chance I can't load anything, and I also can't get out, which means I'm trapped and I'm already done.
Right. Okay.
And we don't want that to happen. So the very basic principle of playing the Matrix is the node you're on, you scan to 2 out of 2, you take a look where you want to go. I want to go down here. I see, okay, so there's 3 wall thingies. So I'm right now going to load my sleaze program, and now I'm prepared, right? I have 4 charges. There's only 3 here. I can do this. So I click on it, I hit connect, and now I am on that node. And because I've previously scanned these, the game automatically shows me, okay, here are the 3 countermeasures that exist.
And I'm very familiar with this screen. So this makes sense to me.
Okay. It's honestly, I've never thought about it this way before, right? Because right now I'm explaining it. When I'm explaining it, I have to talk through all of it. The Matrix is really complicated.
Yes.
There's a lot to know and a lot to consider. And I've learned all of this over a year ago, and I just don't even think about it anymore. But man, like a new player would be, if you haven't played the Matrix tutorial, you would be absolutely steamrolled by this. It's kind of horrifying.
That's why I absolutely wanted to include this in the podcast, is because this is something that definitely attracted me to the game, was this portion. So this is good. This is really good.
Okay, so we're in here, we can see all the nodes, and we know these are all there are because, as I've explained earlier, we know access nodes only ever have the visible type of countermeasures. So let's take a look. Overlord prevents program loading until disabled. Hey, if that isn't exactly the one I told you was going to be here. Tar Pit prevents connection use until disabled. Well, again, I told you that this one was going to be here. And then
Right.
the last one, which is called Jammer, and that one says add +4 matrix ability point cost to all actions until disabled or destroyed. So now that we know what all of these do, the way that I approach hacking is I sort these mentally from least dangerous to most immediately dangerous. And for these three, none of them are actually dangerous because they don't really do damage to me, you know. But there's one that actually prevents my progress, or let's not say it prevents progress, but makes my progress more difficult, and that is the jammer. Because as you can see, these ones here, I can disable them through my programs, which I have prepared. But it costs me 6 AP to click these. And I only, in quotation marks, have 161 left.
Where do you see that?
Down at the bottom left.
Okay. I got you.
The orange stuff is AP, and it has 161 out of 179. Now you might think, oh, 6 per, and you have 161, that's a lot. It's like, yeah, but look at the number of nodes I have to get through.
Right.
Right? And there's definitely going to be things that will go wrong during this process. I might encounter a node that has files that I need to download. Downloading a file costs 5 AP as well. So I want to spend as little AP as possible, meaning this is the one I disable first, and that one cost me 6 AP. But because I've disabled it, these ones now don't cost 6, they cost 2. And obviously, basic math, 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 2 is 4. I just saved myself 8 AP if I want to disable all of these. Now, the question is, do I actually want to disable all of these? Well, I have to disable the carpet because it prevents connection use, meaning if I don't disable this, I will not be able to get out of this node, ever. So that's the next one I'm going to turn off. And this one I'm going to leave alone for now because it only prevents me from loading programs, but I don't even know if I want to load a program. Okay? So I click back on the node, which gives me the scan option again. I scan to 2 out of 2. Nothing changes for this node because there was nothing to see. However, I can now see this node down here. Based on how it looks. All right, so we just scanned this node, which revealed the one below here. This one's called an SPU, a sub-processing unit. They are in between nodes. Sometimes they have a little bit of loot. Most of the times they don't, I find. And they also usually don't have more than 1 or 2 loot items. However, they will absolutely block your progress, and they are one of the more dangerous nodes because they can have pretty much all the IC that exists in the game. I don't think there's anything they can't have. So if you see one of these, they tend to be a bit dangerous. Now,
and that's specific to the SPU node.
Yeah, it's essentially the SPU node is one of the most annoying nodes because it has a combination of things. It has very little gain. There's very little loot in them, so they're not valuable. Okay. But at the same time, they're usually positioned in a way that you have to go through them. And they also tend to be one of the most dangerous nodes. So they're dangerous, they don't reward you, and they're in the way.
Got it.
Which, that's not a good combination of things. But as we see, we have to go through, right? We want to go back here, so I can't just skip these, sad as it is. But I did talk about something earlier where I said I will see if I even want to disable this one, right? Because it prevents program loading and I didn't want to load a program. Well, now I know, well, this one has 2 of the radar dishes, which means I need my radar dish program. And I also explained earlier, I don't just want to go in blind because this one here might just very well prevent me from loading programs, and then I'm in a bad spot. So I want to preload. I can't do that here. I could go back to this node, preload, and then go back here, but connecting also takes AP, and I would have to go back here, go back down. It costs way more AP than just disabling this one, so I'm now disabling this one. And as you can see, the moment I did that, all of these lit up.
Yep.
So now I can go, all right, so it has one. I still have one left. That's good. It has two of those. So I'm going to load my deception program. And now I'm going to use meta knowledge. Now, in the beginning of the game, when you first start hacking, chances are most nodes, even the SPU, doesn't have traps. Traps are something that comes a little bit later in the game. But at my level, where I'm at now, I can only see 3 nodes. And I know for a fact there's no way in hell that this thing only has 3 IC. It has 4, maybe 5, which means there are some that are invisible. And if they're invisible, they are traps. So I'm going to load my trap program as well. Ooh, there we go. I have the full suite of programs ready. And I can go in. And I will go in a second. I just want to, well, actually, let's do this. Let's go in. And here are the 3 that we pre-scanned. Overlord, Blaster, and Scrambler. We already know Overlord prevents program loading. We had that one here. Blaster deals 10 damage to the cyber deck when you take any action. That's not good. And Scrambler is unloads cyber deck programs when you take any action. Do you remember what I said earlier? What the first thing you want to do is when you see what's in the node?
No.
You don't worry about it. You want to mentally sort these from least to most dangerous.
Oh yeah. I gotcha.
Right? Again, prevents program loading right now, not that dangerous. Now, these 2, they have potential to be dangerous. This one deals 10 damage to your cyber deck. However, I have 14 deck armor and 30 shield. Deck armor, every point of deck armor reduces direct damage to your deck by 1 point.
Okay.
There is a rule that the damage cannot be reduced to 0, so there is 1 damage point that will absolutely still go in, but my temp shield will block it. So essentially, because of my armor, all of this 10 damage, it'll be reduced to 1. And I can take 30 times 1 damage, which means I really don't care about this one. This is nothing.
So your deck life is 225, correct?
That's a good question. I don't actually know. It only gives you percentages here.
Oh, okay.
It has a point value. I know that because I've taken damage multiple times and it didn't go down multiple percent. So it's not like it's just 100. But the display is only in percent. This one, that's a good question to note. Honestly, I never bothered because it's like, well, if I take damage, I take damage. What am I going to do about it, right? So we've established this one not very dangerous. Now the Scrambler, this is one of the nastiest active programs you can encounter, because what happens is if I try something that isn't disabling this one, it'll unload one of my cyber deck programs. So it might go, ooh, that's a nice deception 2 you have there. Would be a shame if something happened to it, and it's gone. It gets thrown out of the memory. And as we established earlier, the input-output, that one doesn't, like, I have limited input-output, so if this one gets thrown out, I have to reload it into memory, and that consumes another one of my very precious input-output points. So enemies unloading programs from your active memory is one of the most damaging things they can do to you. And that puts us in a bit of a conundrum right now, because I know, or I suspect, that there's invisible countermeasures here on this node, and the only way to reveal them is to scan for them. The problem is, if I scan, this one here will unload one of my programs. And I will now have to take a gamble. And the gamble that I'm going to take is unloading one of my programs is way more damaging to me than a potential trap that I might trigger if I disable this thing. So what I'm going to do, are you still with me?
Yeah, no, I'm just captivated.
Okay, so I will now take that gamble and I will hit this button to disable this one, and nothing happened. So whatever trap is there, it doesn't have an activation trigger that I just hit. Now, as I mentioned, as you can see, by the way, I clicked this button, my deck shield went down to 29. So I did trigger the blaster IC, and it did 1 damage to my shield.
Got it.
as we knew it would. But it's nice to see that these things, nice to see these things. So I could now deactivate this one, and I kind of already know that the trap is not going to be something that triggers when I disable a program, because I already disabled the program and it didn't do anything to me. So I'm going to click it. And now I will do what I said earlier I had to. I will try and scan this node to 2 out of 2, because again, this program, just like with that node here, this one is not immediately dangerous to me, so I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to hit C on my keyboard. And as you can see, instead of going to 2 out of 2, that would mean the scan was complete and there was nothing dangerous found. It revealed a trap. Now let's see. The trap is Icy Diamond, and it says, if I exit this node, it steals 10 AP from me. That's not nice, but it's also not immediately dangerous. So, and because there could still be a 5th trap here that I haven't revealed, I'm going to click the scan button again. I'm at 2 out of 2, and now I know for a fact that these 4, that's all there is here. So I'm going to complete my threat assessment. My threat assessment is, well, if I exit this node, at some point I will have to exit. So this one goes. And the other threat assessment is, it says prevents program loading. And now we have to check, do I need to load a program? And I actually don't, because the next node in the chain is the incinerator. The incinerator is a security checkpoint with routine flush causing hard to disconnect at end of turn. And it's exactly what it says on the tin. You are inside this node and you don't have any AP, so you end your turn, it'll boot you out of the network. I am nowhere near that would happen to me. I have 130 AP, I have plenty of in-out. I also have a couple of very special abilities here at the bottom that I can use to get myself out of sticky situations. I haven't explained those because in the beginning you wouldn't have these. We can go over them if I ever have to use them to get myself out of a sticky situation, or at the end, if you want. But for now, all I need is 1 scan disable and 1 wall disable. And I still have those. I have 1 wall left, I have 1 scan. So I don't actually need to disable this program. I can save myself the AP and the charge. So I will hit connect, and I'm in the next node. And we start from the beginning. Threat assessment. Prevents connection use. That's problematic because I will want to connect somewhere. And this one is, we haven't seen this one previously. It's called Tracer, and it says adds 5 Q security tally when you take any action. This one is potentially actually really annoying because we haven't seen that yet, but it will happen soon because we're pretty close to our security level escalating. Any action you take inside the Matrix network will increase your security level. And up to this point, it was at +3 per action. But because this nasty bugger here is active, it goes from +3 per action to +8. Since we're at 30 out of 40, even just 2 actions will get us over the threshold. And obviously we don't want that. So we will disable this one first. And then we will disable the tar pit because it will eventually have to get out. And now something happened. Our first security escalation, just like in Meat Space, where the sec AI is able to, they can summon reinforcements, they can activate extra security cameras. Here in the hackerspace, the sec AI gets to also do things when the security level escalates.
Got it.
And in this case, it threw my disarm 2 out of active memory. That's not great. I'm going to hit continue because this arm was this one, and I still had 2 charges left, meaning I just lost 2 charges of this arm. That's not great, but in terms of the things that it could have done, that's actually on the not so dangerous side. So I'm actually happy with that. I will quickly go over what the incinerator node has as in terms of peculiarities. The incinerator node, while it will disconnect you, if you stay in it at the end of turn, it's actually one of the least dangerous nodes because just like the Axis node, it can never have traps. And it also tends to have less active IC, because as we can see here, the Axis node has 3, and usually when you start hitting, these will have 1. The Incinerator, for me, only has 2. So it's one of the nodes where you don't really have to do much. So I personally actually, I enjoy it when I see those. So we're going to scan, right? Because we need to move forward. Otherwise, we're going to be here the day after tomorrow. And god damn it, we're so unlucky. Another SPU. Usually these things are few and far between most of the time, but this is the second one in a row. Well, let's quickly rehash. SPUs suck because they're low value, high danger, and you have to go past them.
Right.
So we will prepare again. So let's see, what does he have? He has 1 scan, 1 wall, and of course, so I need to use both of these. And as I explained earlier, there's at least 2 traps here. So we're going to have to use the disarm as well. I'm fully loaded now, and I'm going to go in here. Oh, and it has a file for us. Source code D1 level 6 epic. Well, at least we get some loot for the effort, I suppose. Let's see. What do we have here? We have an Overlord and a Blaster. Neither of these is particularly dangerous, which means the first thing I'm going to do is scan, because again, there are traps. We have an IC Diamond Trap. Trigger if you use a Cyber Deck program, immediately steals 10 Matrix AP. I explained earlier that that's not really nice because AP is kind of valuable, but and triggered if you use a program, so it essentially triggers on almost everything. Like the only thing it doesn't trigger is if we move. But I will take the hit, and I will lose the 10 AP, and I'm going to use my scan program because there's still 1 more trap at least. And some of those traps have really nasty effects, and I don't want to risk getting hit by a nasty trap effect. So I'm going to scan again, and the sec level actually went to 2. And we got lucky because it only dealt 1 damage. So this is after armor. The original damage would have been a lot higher. And like, as we established earlier, 1 damage, that just goes into our temporary shield. We literally just shrug here and ignore that. Yeah, and it's a good thing that we scanned. We probably wouldn't have tripped this one because I would have definitely done the scan. But the one we just found is the tripwire IC. And this one says, triggered if you download a file, immediately restarts all IC in the node. So if we disabled these 3, right? Like, let's say, just see I scan the first time. I see the diamond. And I'm going, oh, that's all there is. So I'm going to disable this, disable this, disable this. And then I download my source code. This trap would have reactivated all of these, which would have been a very, very nasty surprise.
Got it.
But now that I know that, and again, on my difficulty level, technically there could be a 5th one in here, but I'm gonna take the risk, and I'm gonna say there's no 5th one in here, so I'm gonna disarm this one because I don't want to lose another 10 AP. Then I'm gonna disable this one because there's no need to take any extra damage. I'm disabling this one, and then I'm disabling this one, just for good measure, because I already know I'm probably gonna have to do something here. And I'm gonna download my file. Yay! So much work for really very little game, but we've done it. We're gonna scan the 2 out of 2, and we finally got to some of the juicy nodes. So all the nodes that look like, I don't know, like a cylinder with like blinking lights, all of those are loot nodes. Of different things. So this one is a data warehouse, which means it contains files, as it says, cold storage for files. And this one down here is a financial fortress. These nodes are responsible for progressing ongoing financial operations, which means you will find accounts in here.
I like the sound of that.
Yes. Accounts are nice because you can immediately sell them for money, so they are very good, especially in the beginning. They tend to be really great because they are relative to what you make from missions and how much everything costs. Accounts tend to have pretty decent value. The rarer ones will also allow you to increase the influence of the people you sell them to, which means you can feed these to a specific contact that you want to push and to get more powerful. Maybe, maybe you want to sell these to Potato, your contact that sells you decks because you just realized, oh man, this Matrix stuff, this is so exciting. I want to do more of that, so I need better decks and better programs. So I'm gonna give all of these to Potato. Just
Yeah.
it could happen.
I hear that said a lot. What is Potato? I keep hearing it.
It is a dude. That's his name. That's his nickname.
Oh,
If and when we're done here, I'm gonna open my contacts. I'm gonna show him.
okay, good.
That's just his name.
I keep seeing Potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dropped in chat. I'm like, what is Potato?
Yeah. Believe me, I was just as confused at the beginning. Now here we find ourselves in a little conundrum that everyone who does the hacking will find themselves in. We can see that there's one passive IC on these warehouses, and at my difficulty level, I usually know, okay, so a warehouse will have anywhere between 3 and 4 nodes, generally speaking, which means that each of these has 2 traps that are hidden. And I only have 1 charge left in my trap program, meaning if I go in, I can only defuse one of the traps that I will find. The thing is, I could click this again, and I could unload it, and then reload it into memory, and it would have 3 charges. But that means I'm throwing 1 charge away.
Got it.
And more importantly, as we can see down at the bottom left, my memory is at 740 out of 770. My trap program takes 100. So if I unload this, I can't even load it again. Because, well, I don't have enough input-output. Now, for most players, especially when you start and you are in this situation, you would kind of just have to end your turn. Maybe unload this, or take the gamble, go in, and hope that you can disable the dangerous stuff, grab your files, and get back out. However, since I've played a long time and my hacker is like level 25 or something, I have a talent here down in the bottom right that is called Ripper Compression, and it says immediately free 75% of your cyberdeck IO max, suffer 15 cyberdeck damage, and damage your connection by 5%.
Got it.
And I can use it for...
It's like a healing kit for hackers.
Actually, it's the opposite, because you deal damage to both your connection and your cyberdeck, but you get your input-output back. So it's the way you have to think of this is like you get more speed at the expense of your computer just, catching fire just that little bit.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
I believe me, I've had it happen to me as well. It's not nice. But again, if you think about it, we have 14 armor, it deals 15 damage. So for the 15 damage, we only take 1 and it goes into our shield. So that part is completely irrelevant. And it damages the connection by 5%, which that one I'm actually a little bit more concerned about. But our connection health is still at 88% at this point in time. So I'm going to say we can afford a 5% hit to the connection health. I'm pressing this button. Please. Why? There we go. That was weird. And now I'm down to 160 out of 770, and I have full range available to me, meaning I don't have to be afraid to go into one of these, because I can just reload whatever I need. So we're going to go in. That going in actually caused another escalation, and the AI is nice to me because it goes, here, have 1 HP damage into your shield. Ah, cool. That's so nice. And I actually just realized something. I only have 10 shield left. Apparently, the 15 cyberdeck damage from Ripper Compression cannot be mitigated by armor. I do wonder if that's an error message. It's not error message. I do wonder if that's a bug. I don't think it is, because it makes sense that if you sacrifice something to gain something, that you take the full brunt of the hit.
Right.
But it's something to keep in mind. All right. We're in the data warehouse. Yay, this is where we want to be. Because our primary objective is loot as many data nodes as possible and complete it before the end of 5. So we can say here there's plenty of files here. And if we have enough time after the mission's over, I'll show you what you can do with those files. But right now, there's one IC we can see. It's the data log. It prevents download access. Now, if we're greedy and dumb, we click that button and then all hell will break loose because there's invisible things here. But yeah, as we've determined previously, we're going to do a scan. Ooh, okay. So what happened here is something that will happen to everyone because there's really nothing you can do against it. I trapped one of the traps in there. I pressed scan, and when we go back in, I will show you what the trap can do. But what the trap did, it rerouted my connection. So it threw me out, and it threw me here. And I will tell you what, that it was extremely lucky. Because in theory, it could have thrown me here.
Oh.
Onto a node I don't know at the ass end of the network. And that would have been really dangerous. That's a black hole trap. Black hole traps are one of the most dangerous traps. And yeah, we're gonna go back in. Okay. And you can see here, I see black hole triggers if you take any action and immediately relocates the hacker. So yeah, like we got super lucky that it only threw us out one node. Now we can obviously see it. And even though I know that there's probably another trap here, I have to disable this one right now, because if I do anything else, it'll just throw me out again. Right. That's how dangerous these things are. Like these threat level maps, essentially. Okay, we got lucky, nothing else triggered. I'm gonna do my scan again. And lo and behold, there's another trap. This one is triggers if you download a file. Well, we do want to download files, so that'll happen eventually. And it steals 10 AP, but I can now just reload my trap program, disable it, turn off. Actually, I'm going to do one more scan. Okay, there's no more traps here. I'm going to turn that one off, and now I can be greedy and just suck these up. And in the process of downloading, we hit another escalation. There's nothing really you can do to prevent these. Like, these will just happen over time because every action accumulates escalation points, and at some point it'll escalate. This one actually is kind of dangerous. What it did is it connection damage minus 18%, so it degraded our connection. And as you can see, my connection went down to 65%. This one is potentially very dangerous because there's very little you can do to repair connection health. And once your connection health hits 0, you will be dumped out of the network, which means you have to reconnect back in. Sometimes you lose, you definitely lose a turn, because when you get dumped out, all your AP are gone.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm just one of the players on Discord server, but heard about this recording, so I jumped in to just chat a bit. I've not been playing very long. I bought this when it came out at 1.0, so I've not played a load of early access or anything. But I'm going to go through a fully functional base, basically. But up here you've got the timeline at the top, which you can see the different events that kind of pop up, and you can like go forward like to the end of it, which mine's going up to 9 days from now. And then once I've sort of gone through a bit of this, I'll jump into a mission and like show you some sort of like play style of how a pretty much fully functional team works. It does take a while to get here. Let me see how many missions I've done. So I've done 30 missions so far. Maybe a little bit more, because there was probably a few where my Cyber Knight was injured. So there might be a few more there. I'm not sure if that's tracked somewhere. But so from top left, the first room we've got is the barracks. You can see how many recruits you can have total. I've got space for no more, but I can upgrade it to have more. And then my roster of mercs, who are mostly okay at the moment. I've got one wounded. About a week ago, half of these were in cyber surgery, half of them were stressed out, and half of them were wounded. but you can kind of go through, check your equipment. You can click class training, and this is where you sort of pick your perks and stuff like that. And there's your face as well, who does all your like negotiation stuff, and sometimes will do like legwork, which is like little sort of side jobs that go off in the background. They're not like fully playable missions, but they're kind of a bit of investigation, and how successful they are depends on their stats and how difficult it is and stuff like that. But I think I've got one of every class. I'm missing a Vanguard, I think. Yeah, but I don't know. It's a bit of a Discord drama thing. So, which one, Agent X or Vanguard, is better. So for the memes, I don't have one. Then Command HQ is where you launch your missions from, and by leverage, which I'll go through when I jump into the mission. Cold storage is where. 1 second, my dog is mine. So this keeps all of your files together. So your files can either be accounts that you've stolen from usually Matrix nodes, and these can be sold to contacts. And when you sell rarer ones, contacts get something called influence, which when it reaches a certain point, results in them leveling up a random trait, or you can have a face talent, which lets you level up everything, and then goes on cooldown. So these are really good for if you want to get like better, like cyberware or drugs or like guns and stuff like that. If you sell these to your contacts, you can like rush them through to get higher levels, so you get access to better stuff. And then the next tab is blueprints, which is items, weapons, mods, and stuff like that. These are all used by the Nano Fab bench to create your own equipment, and it's part of the crafting system. Files. These are loads of individual files I haven't gone through yet. These you sell, but you can also combine them. So this one's a full file set. So because I've got all three, I can combine them into a file set, which if I just filter by that one, that's now come up there. And because it's a file set, it adds influence when I sell it, and it also is worth more money. So they're really good for leveling up your contacts as well. Underworld Hub, this helps you in legwork. You can use tokens which it generates over time to increase your success at legwork. Or make legwork shorter. You can recruit new mercenaries, you can get a new contact, and you can get MBS cubes at higher levels, which are what you use for trading. And there are 3 rarities of them. Basically, the higher the rarity, the better chance for rolling good stats on your crafting gear. The nano scrib is your power plant. In this game, it's like they say it's like reducing pollution generated by rooms, but it works like a power plant basically. If you don't have enough, you can't build or upgrade rooms, so that's constantly being upgraded. And counterintelligence pod is really good. So there's a mechanic called heat, which the more drama you cause in missions, the more your team gets stressed out, the more likely it is that you're going to get higher status alarms and more sort of a stronger reaction from the AI and stuff like that. As well, it's linked to the headhunter system, which if you annoy someone enough, they will send like elite enemies after you, and they will try to ambush you. So if you keep your heat down, you can sort of try and maintain quite a stable sort of background level of. Sorry, it's hard to explain. Less heat is good because it's going to result in less complications during runs. Here as well, you can like find hack jobs to get more files to complete your file sets and stuff like that. You can interfere with bounty hunters if you've got like a really important mission coming up and you don't want to get ambushed. And you can trade tokens that are generated by the room for favors, which you can use in different ways. So favors contacts have those, and it might be getting you a key for a mission, or turning cameras off, or maybe sometimes like deploying one extra mercenary and stuff like that, so they can be really good. And you can also get favors by selling files to contacts as well and doing jobs for them. And the nanopower bench.
One thing to mention maybe for the favors, you mentioned earlier how you can sell your files and stuff to contacts to have them get the influence limit breaks. You can actually use favors if you have them when they level up, and you in the options they get, you don't like them, because they're all like, hey, for the next 30 days, I'm going to give you a little bit more money. You're like, yeah, but I want you to sell me better stuff. You can also use favors to give them additional options if you're lucky enough. Maybe your face talent isn't ready, maybe you don't have it yet. You can use favors to go add an extra option if you're lucky. Then that's maybe something you want.
Yeah, you basically always want your contacts to owe you a few favors because they're very useful and in a variety of ways. The Field App Center, this gives you little bonuses that you can use on runs. So there's like disable security devices, buff teammates for certain turns and stuff like that, which all comes into the leverage system, which I will go into when we launch the mission. Triage Clinic reduces healing time, and if your mercs take enough damage in one hit, they'll get wounded, which is separate to being injured. Injured is like loss of HP, but wounded is like a permanent debuff, which can get worse over time or it can get better. But they have to like make a roll when that happens, and if they fail it, they get the debuff. But the Triage Clinic gives them a bonus to that roll. SimStream Detox is, as well as the injuries and wounded status, there's a thing called stress, which you can see here. If that reaches the bottom, a bad limit break will happen and something negative will happen to your mercenary. Like they might become less loyal. If they've got a wound, it might upgrade to the next tier, that kind of thing. And this is a way to get rid of that stress. Basically, you put them in there, they listen to some relaxing whale sounds for a week or whatever they do, and they come out more chill. SimStream Trainer has like two uses really. So the first one is because you can generally only deploy 4 mercenaries on a mission, the other ones can sit in the benches to get a bit of that experience. So you don't end up with like one team that's really high leveled and another team that's too underleveled. But the other use is it generates tokens which you can use to respec your mercenaries. A good tip to remember is that during the first month of any game, and when you hire a new mercenary, you always get a free respec as well. So it's definitely worth using that if you've got a particular build in mind. But for example, if I go to my Cyber Knight, I go to respec, I have some tokens available, so I could hit that and get all my points back and try a different build. And they regenerate over time. So that's all a quick rundown of all the rooms. I've kind of got like a setup mission already and a team to go. This is just a procedurally generated one, so it's not going to be, there's no spoilers in it.
Let's say I have a quick question. So the cyber slasher, or am I saying that right? The cyber, yeah, she's got nano something. It's like a debuff, and she's gonna. I think I'm gonna end up losing her. Corey, I think, gave me a spoiler.
Right. Yeah, I don't have her on my team, but I know who you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have her, and like I was all distraught because she's gonna die. She every so many days she gets less hit points and her function less action points. Is there, so when they do get these types of debuffs, is there a way or one of the rooms that you can actually get those removed or cured?
I think with that particular character, there's like storyline events that happen, but I don't know that story. For example, my search here, he's got a wound. If I go to his page in the barracks, I can send him to my street doc. I can't do that now because he's already been treated for his injuries. But once that's finished in 5 days and 12 hours, I can then send him to get treated for that. But if he reaches the bottom of his stress level, that might get worse as well.
Okay, that's fair. I figured it was story related with her, so
Yeah.
it's good to know. We just I'd noticed the debuffs and um was kind of curious on that. So that was I mean, is that everything within the hideout? I think you've
Um, yeah, there's like the market and stuff which you can go
Yeah, why don't
through.
you go ahead and talk about that a little bit too?
Yeah, so you can reach the market by. I'll go through the contacts page as well. So there's several tabs in the top right as well. So the first one's the market, which you can filter in lots of different ways. You can filter by who's selling what, and because this is all goods, there are no like um, more individual filters. But if you go to like weapons, for example, I can then filter by like what level equipment I want, what type of equipment I want, so light and heavy. Without some cyberware, you can only equip one heavy weapon and one light weapon, but with there is a cyberware that lets you equip two, like in heavy weapons like sniper rifles, big assault rifles, stuff like that. And then you can filter by weapon class as well. Then there's like the mods page, that's the same. Then armors and items. And then there's the Cyberdex, which was what your hackers use, and they've got like different stats go with them, but that'll probably come up in the Matrix tutorial. And then there's programs which you use for hacking on your Cyberdeck. And then the next page is um, what you have in your inventory, and like the filters all work on that as well. And then the middle one is your contacts. So these are all the people that I know, and they might not necessarily be useful to me. For example, like Baby Jack is a headhunter that's after me. So when he tries to ambush me in the mission, this is who I'm facing. So this is the information I found out about him. Um, but then there's also other people that offer me jobs and services. So for example, Bastille here, she's trying to get me to do some legwork, um, and will buy blueprints and syndicate files and gang files off me, and she's a member of Arrowhead Security, which means if I have favors with her, she might be able to offer me certain leverages like a delay in response time or something like that. And whereas my drug run out will sell me drugs, and we love those. Um, and then, for example, if I go to what like dance hall, he's my wire goes, so they generally sell hacking stuff, so cyberdex, and you can see that she's like influence level 70%. So because I like hacking, and I wanted to get a really good hacker, I sold most of my files and stuff to her, and to get her up this high this quickly. So I've got some really good Matrix equipment. And if I wanted more, I can like sell her a few files, and she'll limit break in a couple of days. She might then upgrade like which cyberdex she sells or which program she sells. And if I go back to the main page, the face talents you have are here, and you can see if they're off cooldown as well. So because Puppet Master, which is a really good talent, has a blue light, if I then sold files to dance hall, got her up to 100% influence, and then her limit break popped, I could use that to upgrade all of the stuff she sells me rather than just one thing at a time. So if you kind of see this, you can kind of go, right, okay, well, let me have a look at my contacts. Who can I get to level up, and like what sort of stuff I want? So, for example, if I wanted better guns, I could go to my gun runner, Origami Joe. It's like, right, okay, I've got enough stuff to get him to 100%, and I've got Pitmaster ready. I can level up my guns and then buy better ones, but I don't need to at the moment. I think he's actually maxed out, but I'm not sure. I'm not into it.
So a real dumb question.
Yeah,
Across the top, you
mhm,
obviously covered the heat. I see the skull. It has a 1 of 19%.
yeah.
That's with hunters. But what are the blue? Can you explain some of the boxes across? I know the first one's the nano scrubber percentage with the fan, but what
Yeah.
are the blue and the red and the yellow?
So these are your stock of what they call MBS cubes, and their crafting materials. Different equipment requires different amounts of these, but it'll always be like let's say you're making a piece of armor, it might take 4 cubes.
Got it.
And
Okay.
then you choose if you want to use red ones or gold ones. and depending on what type of equipment it is, that affects it. So red are more rare than blue, and then gold are more rare than red. Gold ones generally increase the chances of you rolling an additional buff to your weapon or armor or whatever, and red ones give you a bit of a chance to do that, but also reduce the crafting time usually. And but if
Beautiful.
you mouse over it, it's got like tooltips as well. And then
Yeah,
you
I
can
have
see
none.
you generally get them from loot boxes or by doing optional objectives. So a lot of the contact missions, they will give you a mission and then say, I actually want it done in less than 11 turns, or I want it done quietly. So I want your security level to be under a certain number. And a lot of the times rewards will be gold cubes for that.
Well, that's wonderful. Great lineup. I mean, just I've got 2 additional rooms I built in my saves. And between you and what Felix discovered the earlier before we started the recording, um, I really have a good understanding of the hideout, and what to look forward to as I plan out my own, as far as wiring the rooms in left, they're on the left and the right. He covered a lot of that. I don't know if you have that. You might want to, do you understand the power for each of the rooms?
Yeah,
How?
so when you start your game, all of this will be trashed. And you need to, certain rooms need a power line level and then a cooling level, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So if I go to, yeah, cryogenic cooling. So there is a cap on how much wiring and how much cooling you can put in, which is dictated firstly by the level of your command center, and then also the level of the connected room to it. So these outside rooms, they are capped at what level the inside rooms are. So I can't have a level 5 wired underworld hub if my nano scrubber isn't at least level 5, because the wires have got to be like so good up to there and then be extended on. Generally just upgrading the wiring and stuff doesn't give any bonuses. It's usually just a prerequisite to upgrade that room. If I go to my underworld hub, yeah, you can see that I need another level of power and another level of cooling before I can upgrade that one. 1 second.
Yeah, so Corey actually jumped in earlier and talked briefly that they're working on more of an animated or overlay as far as the GUI to help illustrate that, because I think that's something that a lot of people tend to they're missing. They don't, not fully understanding how that power, why am I capped here? Why can't I put any more in into this room? So that will definitely help.
It's explained in the tutorial, but I think by the time you get to the base tutorial, you're very tutorialed out because
Yeah.
there's a lot of information. So
Definitely. Definitely. So, are you ready to jump into a tactical? So I'm gonna go ahead and end this recording, and we'll start up the next one for the next chapter. So
yeah, so now I've got a mission to show you. I've used my co-conspire ability from my face to generate this mission. And when I do it, I'll get some influence with Dance Hall to hopefully get her to level up and sell me better things. But the mission is she's got a courier that she wants to get from one side of the map to another, and I've got to facilitate that. So I can see that I'm going to earn 1.6 million for this, so it's pretty good. That she'll get some level up and influence from it, and there's an optional objective that if I do it quickly, she'll get even more influence. So if we go into mission planning, there's also leverage which you can use on jobs. So for favors and stuff like that, you can basically buy map-wide effects. So I've got one that always happens, which is I get paid more because my face has picked that up as a level up option. And then if I wanted to, I could stop reinforcements come in for 2 turns, and that costs 1 favor. And if I click buy, I can see that Dusty Diamond offers me that service from my contact list. He owes me one favor, and I can take that. So I'm going to take that, and then I could disable cameras for one turn, and that's going to cost me 25,000, which is nothing compared to the payout of the job. So I'll take that as well. And then if I click this, it goes to my deploy screen where I can see who I've selected for the job, what equipment they've currently got. So it'll be their main weapon, their sidearm, their armor, and then any sort of items they've got equipped. It tells me if they've got any debuffs and stuff here, but my team are all good to go. And I've already set this team up for this recording. So here I've got a Cyber Knight who's my main character. I've got a Scourge who they usually deploy with shotguns, but I don't quite like the shotgun. So he's got a assault rifle, and a Scourge is good for AoE stuff and for area denial and stuff like that. Then I brought my sniper because on this mission I'm gonna get into some fights, I think, as well, because I've got to do it quickly. I'd rather not be that sneaky. So I'm just gonna go in more or less guns blazing. And then finally I've got a cyber sword, but she's got a bat, so she's a cyber bat, I guess. And she charges into people's faces and bonks them with a big stick. And then I click start mission.
I like bonking people with a big stick.
And then we get some a little bit of story. It's usually quite generic. So I can see that I have a extra person to escort who I'll show you what they've got when it's their turn. But generally they've got a submachine gun. They've got a med kit with them usually, and they've got one skill that gives them a little bit of movement for a turn. So they're not bad. And early on, they have stats that are equivalent tier of a mercenaries really. So they can actually add quite a bit of firepower early on. But because I'm a little bit further into the game, I'm going to try and keep them out as much as possible. So I'm going to have a look at the map. So first I want to see where my extraction point is. So if you look around, it's probably on the other side of the map. Yeah. This blue square always denotes your extraction point. Sometimes you might start a mission and that isn't there. And that's usually because you haven't achieved one of the objectives yet. And once you do, it will spawn then. And then I can sort of have a look at what I'm expecting. So there's some gangoons over there. That's a motion sensor. So if I run through that, it will alert enemies. There's some cameras here which I can see their view cones. And then there's a few more people hanging out there. But otherwise, right now, there are no obstacles that I can see. But what happens is, in the top right corner, you've got a thing called security level. This will passively go up every turn because it's basically there's an overarching AI that looks over the security of places, and it's looking for discrepancies in the ordinary running operation of a place. So there's kind of a passive generation of tally, they call it. So one yellow bar is one tally. And as that goes up and reaches the end, the AI will react in some way to your presence. So that might be turning on more devices. So there, can't really see one. But sometimes you can see cameras that are sleeping. And when the AI gets to a certain level, it will turn them on. There might be hidden mines it turns on, or they might send in additional reinforcements from some of the entry points on the map, which they can either be these big ones on the end, but sometimes they're from the little doorways as well. So, and they can take you by surprise a lot, and you don't know what it's going to do. And just because it's reinforced one turn, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to do it the next turn. So you can get overwhelmed really quickly. This doesn't just go up with the passive rate. Basically, any sort of suspicious action will raise it as well. So if I get seen by a camera, that will add an extra one. If I get seen by a guard, that will go up even faster. It goes up if they hear gunshots. It goes up if they find dead bodies. If you like throw a grenade, that will shoot up. The way to sort of manage it is that, let's say, for example, this guard saw me. So I charged up to him, and before I got to him, he heard me come in, turned around, and saw me. I would see a yellow tracker of how much tally that's going to add to the thing. Now, if I then killed him, the source of those yellow bars is removed, so that would then get reset. That's a really good way of making sure that you're not drawing too much attention really quickly, is to kill the witnesses, basically.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So you can sort of do a version of stealth which is leave no one alive and you were never seen, which is quite entertaining.
And then liquefy their bodies.
Yeah. So then the Scourge has an ability which I'll demonstrate in a little bit. But there are several ways of like hiding corpses, or there's a thing called a body timer. So whenever you kill someone, they have like a biological medical implant in them that will tell the AI they're dead in a certain amount of time. Now you can get rid of that in a number of ways. There's like an item that dissolves bodies. There's a skill in the scourge that dissolves bodies. There's a few classes with skills that will stop the timer but not get rid of the body. There's another class which will get rid of the body but not the timer, which you might think is not that good, but it's actually really good, because how the AI reacts is if there's a disturbance on the map. So for example, let's say I threw a grenade from here into this area, there would then be like an invisible ping in that area that some noise has been generated here. So they're not going to investigate where it was thrown from, because there's no evidence that it was thrown from there. They're going to investigate the source of the explosion. And when if a guard's near enough to see it, he'll go investigate it, or she'll go investigate it. But if it's just been reported, what will happen is the AI at the end of the turn will send people to investigate reports and stuff like that. So if you, one of the skill that I mentioned, if you hide a body but not stop the timer, what's going to happen there is that the timer will go off telling the AI that someone's dead. But then when someone comes to investigate it, there'll be no one there. So it's like a complete waste of time for the AI. And it, oh, what's happened there? Oh. Sorry, the dog's being annoying.
I got stuck on the gate because it was not.
Yeah, so if it would get a guard from one side of the map to another potentially, so that could be really useful. Other than that, there's like not much I can really go into as an overlay thing, so I'm just going to have a look at what I want to do. So I need to get Cynthia from there over to there, and I need to get the rest of my team there to extract safely as well. I need to do it quickly. So I think the easiest way would be if I kind of took this path down where these benches are, went through here, even though there's some guards there, I can take them out. And these cameras I can disable with my like sort of, I've got some characters with skills that can take out cameras for a little bit, and they'll like turn them off for a few turns, and then I'm going to run up this alleyway into there. Now, there are more guards than what are present on my screen right now. I'm not in range to like detect them yet. So as soon as I start moving up, there'll be more guards around here. So I kind of want to see what's going on first. So if you press H, you can cycle through highlighting guards, and if there was loot boxes, I don't know if there's any on this map. No, there's no loot boxes. And you can press it again and see their icons. And what is represented here is there are two sort of movement methods. There's sprinting, which is really fast movement but generates a lot of recoil and noise. And it's also, you can get seen easier, but there's also, if you press C, you can go into sneaking mode, which is quicker slower, but cover will obscure you from viewpoint a bit. So these yellow areas, you can sneak through those and not be seen. But if I sprinted through them, I would be seen. Whereas the red, if I enter them at all, I'll get seen. And you will sort of get a warning if you try to do it anyway. So for example, because I'm sneaking, if I go here, even though it's covered by a cyclone, the cover shields me. But if I was sprinting, which is if the line is like fully blocked out, that shows that you're sprinting, it will tell me that I might get seen, and it will tell me where as well. So what I could do is like sprint so far, stop, start sneaking, and then go in further. So that's what I'm going to do, because I want to sort of stack my team up behind this barrier and then see what's going on further down the map. So I'm going to take my Cyber Knight in first. Oh, another thing actually that you could do is if you sort of spawn in and you just don't quite like the look of the situation, you can delay as well. So you can let the AI go first. So I could delay my entire team. These guys will all take their turn. And then when it's time to react, you can react, and then they can't necessarily react back until the next turn. So it just buys you some time as well to decide what you're going to do. But because I don't really have that much information of what's going on, I want to scout ahead of it first. I'm going to sprint my Cyber Knight up to there, and then I'm going to sneak, and then I might get seen there, so I'm going to go to the end of that barrier. Yeah, and you can see that a few more guards been picked up. So there's a few more over here, but I'm not really interested in that area because I'm not going there. I just want to be aware of it in case of like if some noise happens, I could get like pincer moved from behind. And then what I might actually delay now and see what goes on. So I'm going to delay all my team right to the end of the turn and let the AI make its moves, because what might happen is some more people might patrol into my detection range, and then I'll be able to see more guards. Also, once they finish moving, they might sort of group up, which is good for me because then I can take out a lot of guards at once by using like various abilities. So I can see that not too much has changed. It's currently my sniper's go, but I could move someone else first. I might actually have a look at what shots he can take. So he could take out that one on the roof, who's also a sniper. His gun is really loud though. So when you start the aiming process, if you're using a weapon that generates noise, most of them do, you'll be able to see which enemies are going to hear it by these little yellow ear icons that are over them. So if I shot this guy now, even this guy over here is going to hear that. And what's going to happen is for every person that hears that shot, I'm going to get one more bar on there, which just looking at that is going to send me to the next security level. But I also need to weigh up, is it worth taking this guy out? He's basically, sorry, I think it's a she. Yeah, she's basically gonna keep spinning around there and blocking. Well, she can see everywhere I want to go, so it's definitely worth taking her out. It's also going to draw most of the a few of the enemies into this area, which it's not a bad shout really, because there's loads of cover here. So if I kind of make a fight in advance, I'm going to be moving quickly, which I want to do because I've got a secondary objective to finish the mission quickly. And also I'm going to be taking threats out as I do that. So the map itself is going to get safer. I can sort of see that I've got a 74% chance just on a basic shot. And you can see like the breakdown on this tooltip on the right of what buffs and debuffs you're getting. But then I've also got like several skills that I could sort of use to maybe make sure that I pick up the shot and stuff like that. I've got another one there that gives me action points back if I kill someone. So I might give that a go. and see if we. There we go. So as you can see, 11 enemies reported gunfire to the security AI. Oh, it's not gone up that much actually. Maybe it's just per instance of gunfire, it goes up by one. But everyone's turned to face me. I now see everyone that got that reported it. So I can see most of the map. So this has gone from a stealth mission into something else very quickly, but I don't mind that. We play this game to have a bit of chaos. So because this guy's standing where I want to go, he's getting taken out too. And then I'm going to. There's a skill that if I shoot someone and kill them, it immediately reloads my sniper rifle. And because reloading sniper rifles takes a lot of action points, I'm going to use that as my final shot. There we go. Snipers are really good, but they are more suited to combat missions. And because everyone knows where I am, I'm not going to bother with sneaking. I'm just going to sprint forward. So there was another guy acting there, but oh yeah, he's there. I think I didn't see him before when he's coming to view. 1 second, my back's going up again. No, he's happy. Right. So it's the end of turn one. I can still act. All the other enemies have acted, but they basically know something's happened down here. There's several shots from there. I've not quite made enough noise to get to trigger reinforcements or anything yet. When I do, I will probably call that in, which is the favor for leverage I bought at the start of the game, so that no reinforcements come, because I don't have any. Sometimes you get an objective to like kill X amount of people, but because I'm just relying on speed in this mission, that's what I'm going to go for. What I'm going to do then is with my movement, I'm going to get people into position. I'm going to think, oh, I can sprint. I can. Yeah, I think I'm still going to take the same track because I want to utilize a lot of the harder cover rather than being out in the open. So I'm just going to leave my people up. Cynthia, she can stay next to the Cyber Knight because the Cyber Knight has a lot of abilities that like buff other people. Like they're very much like an officer archetype of a class. They can give people extra turns. They can give people like extra uses of their abilities, or they can like make them act first or give them move points and stuff like that. So keeping the Cyber Knight next to the person I'm meant to protect is a good idea. I'm gonna get flanked, so what I might do is, yes, I've got my Scourge here, and what my Scourge does is they're like bioweapon specialist. And because there's like a lot of drama coming this way, I have an ability called Toxic Cloud, which I can just set going. So I'm going to send that way. What this does, it poisons anyone that goes in that ring, and every turn it will move in the direction that I release it. So it's not usually enough to kill people, but it kind of like gives them a bit of a debuff, gives them a bit of damage. And then I've also, and I don't have, but my other skill just got another skill, but there's another skill that slows people down and stuff. So if I'd had that, I would have used that. Also the Tox Cloud doesn't make them, it doesn't really raise the suspicion level or anything. But if you happen to kill them and a camera sees them, then it will.
Since you showed me that yesterday, I've been using that heavily.
Yeah,
So
it's fun. I think it's definitely not going to save a map, but it's good for like softening up enemies and stuff like that. And you don't really want it to kill loads of people while you're not around to deal with the fallout of it, I think, as well.
Right. But for missions where you know you're going to be in combat, it's stealth is just not an option.
Yeah.
It is definitely good for softening up targets. So good call out. I'm glad you showed that.
And then I've got my Cyber Sword, who she's a little bit too far away to do anything useful, but she's equipped with an E-rifle as well, which is a very rare weapon that's good against armor and stuff like that, and they're quite hard to get. Usually you can like maybe get one by doing a mission to help out a gun runner contact and stuff like that, because they're quite rare. So we moved into turn 2. It's probably not a good idea to delay on this one because that means all these people will get to go before me. And the AI is going to be sending them to investigate the gunfire, and I am between them and the gunfire. So it's a better idea to take the fight to them straight away. I'm just going to have a quick look at them, but they are mostly... There's a sniper there, but everyone else seems to have like submachine guns and stuff like that. Also, because this has... So at the sec tally at the top, all my yellow bars have now turned blue, which means they're locked in. If they're yellow, there's ways to remove them apart from the +3 per turn that's passive. So no matter what I do, I'm going to get a reaction from the AI at the end of the turn. Now I can still make more noise and it will carry over into the next level, but because I'm going to provoke a reaction, I'm going to use my leverage, which I just did then. It's gone away, but it will stop reinforcements coming for 2 turns, which that should be enough to clear up some of these guys and give me a bit of breathing room. So they're not that nicely clumped, because a lot of my team are equipped with assault rifles, which have a fully automatic ability, and urban assault rifles and submachine guns do as well, which basically means you can fire in an arc and like hit multiple enemies and do lots of damage. And that's usually a good way of clearing out maps. What I did then is I loaded up the shot, pressed C, that swapped it to fully auto. And if you forget the tooltip, the hotkey, sorry, that are listed underneath the shot icon. But in fully auto mode, you can see that this has become an arc now. Now, if they were bunched up close enough, I could hit more than one. But I think what's happened there is that I'm not close enough to these 3. So what I can do is, if I click closer, I can see that from this position, there's all these blue lines going off, and those are sight lines, but the color of them also denotes who you can shoot. So if I go here, I can see that from this blue line, I'll be able to hit this guy with my assault rifle. And from the gray line, I can see that guy, but he's out of range of my assault rifle. If I click my submachine gun, they all go grey because my submachine gun doesn't have enough range to hit anyone. So the game actually gives you like a lot of feedback of who you're going to be able to see. Now what I want to try and do is get these 3 guys into one in range of 1 fully automatic. So I want to like play around with my positions. What you can do is you can take the point you're moving to, click and hold and drag it. So from here I can see that, sorry, I'm pointing at the screen then. I can see that there's I can see all these 3 people, but I'm also not in cover. So I want to play around with that a little bit more. Can I get there? That's a good one. So what happens with these like bigger covers, well, with any cover really, is that you can do a thing called cornering, whereas if you go close enough to the edge, it will put you in cover until you fire, and then like your character will like lean out, shoot, and then lean back again. So I'm going to do that. Because I'm moving through sight cones, there's these 2 icons here. The sort of wavy one is someone's going to hear me, and the high one is that someone's going to see me. Because even though I've just shot 3 people with my sniper rifle, I'm still hidden and see me do it. They just know that gunfire has happened from here. That's what they're reacting to. They're not reacting to me being there. But now I'm going to show them why there was 3 sniper shots coming. So now that they've seen me, my Cyber Knight's status will change to spotted, and he's gone to alerted because he's seen me directly, and then this character here, she's gone to suspicious because she's heard me run past her there. But I don't care that they know I'm here. And just because I'm setting up a full auto thing, what you can do is if you hit tab, you can sort of cycle through which targets you can hit, so you can like line it up to get most people in your shot, and that's going to take 3 AP. But I'm going to do a decent amount of damage then. So I hit 3 of them, and there is a Cyber Knight talent which is called Tactical Surge, which it boosts everyone's initiative, gives them more action points and move points if you upgrade it. But this is really good for like hairy situations, but it's also good for if you like want to initiate and want to make a big splash. So because I want to act first and then go there, I'm going to prop that. That gives me another shot, or I could run back into cover now that I've done that. But I think what I'm going to do is decide what I want to do with my Cyber Sword, because she's a bit further back. Now these two over here, they're suspicious that something's going on. I poisoned them, but if I move fast enough, they're quite low in the order. So Kato is that one and Alpha is that one, so they're going to move last. So if I don't want to deal with them, all I have to do is like not be around here when they come round the corner. So if I charge in, they're going to be still looking for the source of the sniper shots while I'm over here in the middle of their base. So that's what I'm going to go for. Oh, I thought I took some drugs on my Cyber Sword, but I didn't. This person's not taking much damage, so I might see if I can get over to them. I need... Okay, there we go. I don't know if this will kill them, but I hope so, because her bat is very, very bonky. So the Cyber Sword starts with this skill, which is Slash Side. This one's a little bit upgraded, so it's got more range, but what this does is charges forward, and along this line that's moving, anyone to the side of that line is going to get melee attacked as she moves forward, so we're going to do that. Teleport in, pop them in the face. I've still got 3 action points, and I've got another charge of Slash Slide, but I can't get in close enough to use it, I don't think. But what I could do is swap to E-Rifle. Not really worth using it on this guy, but I might as well. And then I've got 1 AP left over to move into cover, so there's half cover and full cover, which is denoted by how full the shield is. And because all the threats are sort of on that side, cover's directional, so it only works from the direction the fire's coming from. So if this might be the only cover I can use really, which leaves me open to getting shot by her, but hopefully I can deal with everything. Still got a shot on my Cyber Knight, so I'm gonna take him if I can. Yep, my best. So because I've got no reason to be there anymore, I'll see if I can move a little bit more into safety. Yeah. So this enemy has heard the sniper shot and is going towards the sniper shot because the stuff that's happening over here is not loud enough to reach them. So while there's an active firefight going on, they can't hear it because the weapons are silenced, even though they sound a bit noisy. But what is noisier is the sniper shot, which I have heard, so they're still going to investigate that. I've just tried to press the hotkey to shoot with my sniper. I can see that he's got no line of sight on anybody. And also, all the AI are moving, well, all of this AI in this map are moving to here. So all I'm going to do with him is get him out of there. But what I can do is use Overwatch on him. So certain classes, the soldier, the gunslinger, and the sniper have Overwatch, which there's different versions of it that do slightly different things. But basically this is a zone that if someone fires or moves while in that zone, the character in Overwatch will shoot first. If they miss, the person firing or moving still gets to complete their action, but if they hit, it interrupts them. And if you have more than 0 AP and enough to take more than 1 shot, the Overwatch will last longer. But because I'm on no AP left, I'll just get the 1 shot. Luco is going to act next before my Scourge. So I'm going to cover him with the Overwatch and hopefully finish Luco off. Now this is Cynthia, who is the person I'm supposed to protect, so I'm just going to move them down here for now. out of the way. And then I'm going to delay because I want to let you know. Yep, so that was Overwatch. So Luco moved and then got shot immediately. There's a few people I'm a little bit concerned about. This guy is still suspicious. And so even though all this is going on his turn, he hasn't actually seen anyone. He's just heard this. And he's seen these dead bodies, but he's not in range to hear the he's not in range to see who's firing. He just knows there's some noise here and there's some dead bodies here. So on his turn, he's not going to actively start shooting my people because he doesn't necessarily know that they're there. So the main two people I want to be worried about are this person here hasn't seen me. There's a little bit of a bug with the people on the roofs at the moment, but the devs are working on that for the next update. There's just a bit of funkiness with the cover, so they're not real. This one's not really a threat. This one is because they're alerted. So when they act, they are going to shoot someone. So I really want to take them out, and the only way I can really do that is to charge the Scourge up and shoot them. But can I do that from cover? No, can't get any cover there either. So what I might have to do is I'll go there, which isn't great cover, but it's cover from this side if they end up doing something. And I've got 4 AP left, so I've got 2 shots to finish this guy. There we go. Only need 1. And then I could shoot this guy with my remaining AP, but what that's going to do is change his status from surprise to alert, which will make him an active combatant, whereas presently what he's going to do is move down these stairs and have a look at what's going on, and that might waste enough action points that he doesn't get to act. So I'm going to risk that, but I am going to delay rather than end turn because that will save my AP, and if I need to react and shoot him, I can do. So these guys are walking towards the source of the noise, which there's new noises over here, so they're going to go look at them. He was checking out the source of the original sniper shots. Cynthia, the escortee, still has some movement. So because I'm interested in doing this mission as fast as possible, I'm going to take a bit of a risk and move her as close to the extraction point as I can. I'm going to end her turn. And while I could get a free shot off on him, and it wouldn't really matter in this situation, it's usually worth saving it in this situation because I'm not going to kill him. If I shot him, what would happen is his alert state would go up. He'd see the person shooting him. He'd know he's been shot, so that would add a lot of yellow bars, which I then can't get rid of because I can't kill him. So it's sometimes a lot better to wait to kill someone when you've got more of a chance of doing it rather than just doing some damage. And if I just end turn now, these 2 yellow pips will translate into more initiative because any yellow pips that are left over at the end of the round, or when you press end turn, the AI of the game will just use this skill take cover to with those, which increases your cover bonus and gives you 1 initiative. So if you end your turn without using all your action points, you have a higher chance of starting first next time. So we can see this is what the AI has detected. It's had multiple reports of gunfire. It's armed free proximity mines, and it's sending someone to inspect the reports of gunfire. So that's interesting. So my cyber sword is now in range of a proximity mine that's activated. I'll show you how I'm going to deal with that in a minute. It also said there was someone coming to investigate who was a skipjack. Skipjack's like a bandit class. You can't play it, but they have like certain abilities. I'm not sure who that is. Maybe I can't see them yet. But someone will be coming to investigate. if I hadn't used my leverage, what might have happened there as well is like reinforcements might have spawned here or here, or from one of these doorways as well, which might have made my life a bit more complicated. But otherwise, we're in a pretty good position to finish this level on turn 4, maybe. But first things first, I need to get rid of the mine that's underneath my cyber sword. There are a few classes that can deal with devices like this, and the Cyber Knight is one of them. They start with this ability, Security Scramble, which will disable level 1 devices, which are most of the devices in the game. They're cameras, pressure sensors, laser trips and stuff like that. There are only a few devices that this won't work on, but it will disable it for a number of turns. It starts off quite not disabling it for that long, but you can upgrade it to be better, and you can upgrade the range at which you can use it and how many charges it has at one time. But I don't want a mine blowing up in my cyber sword's face, so I'm disabling that. My last hurdle is going to be this person over here, who's that's the person that's coming to investigate. But they're not going to get a chance to do that because I'm hopefully going to murder them. I might be able to use my newly freed cyber sword to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to yield action rather than delay. So what this does is if 2 of your teammates are side by side in initiative order, you can swap who acts first. And so if I click pause, well, the pause key is yield action. It now makes it Trucker's turn rather than Eidolon's. And Eidolon will act after Trucker. So I'm going to see if I can get up there, which I don't have enough movement to, unfortunately. But because this person isn't melee, what I'm going to do is that takes 2. No, I don't have much option there, actually. Oh, one thing I will show you while I'm just messing around with movement is if you look at this line, the dots are per AP of move that you use. So sometimes if you drag it along the line and you don't want to necessarily get that close, you can just go just behind that dot and get another AP back. So that's really useful to know because you might want to get to a certain place and have enough action points to take a shot or like hit someone or use an ability. But if you like just click there and you go, well, I'm not going to have enough, like you can drag it back and like find the spot where you'll have enough action points to do what you want to do. And then from there, you can check. And if you mouse over, like if I want to throw a smoke grenade, for example, from here, if I mouse over it, it will tell me where I can throw it from that location. So that's really useful for planning as well. And so I haven't got really any way to deal with that guy. But there is a guard right next to me actually, so I might take him out. And then we'll slowly creep up. And oh, there's a miss. I've got another ability called Sync, which makes everyone in the circle act on the same initiative as a Cyber Knight, so I'm going to use that. Because I don't want to give my enemies a chance to react. The toxic screen is not cooldown, so I can't throw more gas at them. Take him out, and then I'm gonna take my entire team up these stairs, just to make sure that the VIP gets there on time. I'm gonna delay her turn till last though. I'm gonna try. I can get a shot on that person with my sniper. Right. So this is what I was demonstrating earlier. So I clicked there, and I found that that location has the blue sight line to this person, so I can shoot them from there. But it's going to tell me that I've only got 2 AP when I go there. Now I need 3 AP to shoot my sniper, so I need to find a spot that's before this dot. So I've got 3 AP left. So if I drag my movement thing back, I can find a spot where I can still see them, and I've got enough AP to take the shot. So that's what I'm going to do from there. And hopefully I'll get it. I think either way I'm going to kill her, but It's just whether I miss or not. Yeah, I missed. So because I missed, I'm going to use Overwatch, and hopefully she'll run into that, because I know that she's going to move from there because the AI has told her to go investigate some of the suspicious noises and stuff. I'm going to move the rest of my team to stack up around the exit, because I don't really need that much cover from this side, and because these guys are still just following my evidence, which is like how a lot of the game works. So you can make a lot of noise in the game, you just don't want to be there when the AI comes to investigate that noise. So these people aren't tracking me, they're tracking the bodies and the noises, but because I'm in front of them, I'm leapfrogging in front of their alert state, and they're not attacking me because they don't know that I'm there. But they know something's going on, but they haven't seen me to attack me. So that's kind of like how the AI acts and interacts. It's Cynthia's turn again, but this person hasn't moved, so I'm going to delay her again until the end of the turn, because I want her to act when there's no threats to taking her out. Yep, so they came up, and in that Overwatch turn, she tried to move, but my sniper got her in the end. And these guys still haven't seen me. They've gone to the reports of gunfire, they found the bodies, and they're investigating the local area. They have no idea of my exact location, so they're not shooting me. It's Cynthia's turn. She is just short of the extraction zone, but she has a skill called Go Go Go, which gives her 2 extra AP called move points, which can only be used on movement. So I'm going to use that to get her into the extraction zone. And there are 2 ways to extract. So you can click extract here, which will remove that character from the field. Or you can just wait in the blue area, and if everyone gets in there, the game will automatically just extract your team. That can be quite useful, because sometimes if someone's like trailing behind, you might want to like take your team out to save them, or to like kill someone who's coming up on them, because reinforcements can always like appear from like side doors and stuff. Or you might want to extract if like someone's really badly injured and you just want to get them off the bat and not worry about losing them. Now, because I've completed the mission, there's no real need to kill anyone else. So my job now is to get my team out before turn 7 if I want to complete the optional objective, and I don't want to take any damage, because that costs money and time. So no one actually knows where I am apart from this person, but unfortunately they are booked at this moment. So these people are looking for me but don't know where I am, so I can pretty much safely just charge my people up towards the exit. There's no abilities I can use to give my team a boost, but I just want to see when these guys are acting actually. So Alpha, who's that? So he's going to act first of the enemies, and then they're going to act, but they're not going to do anything. And then they're going to act before the rest of my team. So the only person of interest to take out is potentially this person called Muck, because they're going to act before one of my teammates. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually swap to my sniper. I'm going to see if there's a spot I can get up to on here and still take a shot. So if I maybe go there, I can get a shot off on Muck, but I'd rather do it with some cover. My sniper is quite slow though, because they've got a lot of like hardware to reduce recoil, so they've got like heavy legs and stuff like that, so the movement speed is not that great. But the only, in fact though, to be fair, Muck is going to move towards there, but my Scourge is quite far ahead, so I might not even need to worry about killing them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my sniper into position, then I'm going to delay, then I'm going to move my Cyber Knight into a position with 3 AP remaining. Then I'm going to delay. Watch the enemies act. Yeah, Alpha's not doing anything. That probably won't be able to do anything, so I'm going to delay again. I'm going to delay my sniper again. Now this is the person I was concerned about their acting. They didn't see anything, so now I can just run towards the exit. What I did that for was, because they're suspicious, if they see someone, what they'll do is tell them to stop and drop their weapon. Sometimes they don't have enough AP to shoot. So if that would have happened, I would have then used my people to finish them off and then move towards the exit next round. But I'm just like covering my exit with the rest of my team. Oh, the toxic cloud is off cooldown, so I can't actually do that. Not really necessary, but they're just some free kills, and it's 1 AP. I'm not going to make the exit with all of my team, so I might as well soften up any potential problems later. So my sniper's nearly been spotted, but because of where it's positioned, there's this cover blocking that line of sight from there. The camera can see him, but what happens with that is, like, these guys don't see what the camera sees. The camera sees me, reports it to the AI, and then the AI reports it to them at the end of a turn. So just because you're in range of a camera doesn't mean the guards can have direct line of sight of you. So he's still pretty safe. But it's his turn to move anyway, and we are going to finish the mission without taking any damage. With a successful mission, and that is that. Just one more little turn over. But yeah, that's it pretty much. I'm going to move these people into the blue square, and then that'll be the end of the mission. Did you have any questions, Razor, or anything?
No, I that was an excellent presentation of a well executed extraction. And actually I learned something new. Your multi-shot with in the auto mode. I knew about the line of sight or who I could see just moving around planning my position, but I'd never seen that actually take several targets, not only killing one but wounding two others. That was pretty cool. That's something I have not taken advantage of.
Yeah, the full auto is really good because
Yeah,
the armor shred as well. So some like harder targets, you can damage their armor, and that will make them easier for like other people with like less powerful guns to take down. And fully auto is a good way of softening up a lot of people, or it's a good way of taking out a lot of like unarmored people as well.
exactly. And your use of smoke, what you showed me yesterday, has been really a game changer for me as well. Not just throwing frag grenades indiscriminately everywhere.
That can be fun though.
It is fun, but understanding who's heard you, where the action it was, knowing they're going to go investigate that, what gets communicated back to AI, and then back to the soldiers in their ear. You always say AI in my ear. It's just there is so many levels to this game. There's
Honestly,
no one way or right way. Go ahead, Felix. I know you have some things to say too.
no, I'm just impressed how deliberate Lucy is in everything she does.
Oh yeah.
Like, my strategy for most of these maps, the first thing I do is I scope out, can I outrun the body time on this mission, right? So if you kill someone, the body timer is 3 to 4 turns. So I calculate in my head, if I go full steam ahead, can I finish this mission in 3 to 4 turns, or maybe 5? And if the answer is yes, all my guys take all the drugs they have on them. I use all the high cooldown abilities, and I'm just like I literally steamroll through the entire map, and it's just so like I didn't even know what to say when you were like, oh, now you can pause here with AP remaining and wait where they go, and I'm like, I would have just killed everyone.
The difficulty of this mission is like the normal difficulty, so it is a little bit more forgiving. If you play on like some of the harder ones, like the enemies might have more hit points, they might be more equipped than you are and stuff like that. So sometimes it's a little bit riskier if you want to steamroll. But steamroll is definitely a valid strategy on like a lot of maps. But
Yeah.
if you're coming up against like what you have to like bear in mind as well is which faction you're going up against. Like because this was just a gang, they don't really have a lot of heavy armor. They have numbers usually. Whereas if it was Brave Star, which is like the sort of private security forces of the city, they have heavy armor. They're going to use tactics like Overwatch and grenades and stuff like that, and they're going to bring drones. So you're not going to be able to
So
like
much
really
over.
kill people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lucy, Felix, thank you so much for taking time out of your day on a Sunday to deep dive into the just all the complexity of this game. And I hope that every viewer and everyone that watches this gains a little bit of knowledge, or just compare contrast to the tactics that you're using. If you're brand new to the game, um, come into Discord. Felix actually goes by R216. His Discord name. His mother must not have liked him too well. And then Lucy is actually Lucille.
Yeah.
And you can find her on the Discord. And there are so many other people in the community that answer questions. You're not alone in this game and trying to figure things out. Definitely come in and take advantage of everything that the community has to offer, because this is such a fabulous game. I said it in the first video I did. This is probably the best art or real-time strategy turn-based game I've played, hands down, including XCOM, which was my initiation into this genre. So having said that, Lucy, do you have any final thoughts or just anything?
I've been playing for about a week now, and a lot of the tricks I picked up, I did by like asking on Discord and then playing around with the game. I kind of recognize that a lot of the systems are a bit ambiguous when you start out with, and it can be like a bit overwhelming with the information. All the information that's thrown at you, and it's like quite hard to figure out what the UI is saying.
Yeah.
But once you do figure that out, the complexity levels increase so much, and it gets so much more interesting. Like trying to figure out, okay, how tricky can it be in this game, and you can like really pull off some like dramatic strategies where you like run by on a complete shoestring of like view code and stuff like that, and it's really satisfying to like break the game almost in those ways.
Well, you're both like mad scientists to me. So, Felix, any final thoughts?
There's so much, you know. I guess if I had one thing to say is like, don't get discouraged if it's really difficult in the beginning. The one thing that the game does that a lot of games like this do is in the beginning it's the hardest because you have very little to work with, and you will be like, the entire idea of the storyline is that you, depending on which storyline you start, but if you take the starter one, like you took a loan that you maybe shouldn't have taken, and the money lender is knocking on your door.
Yeah.
And you have like a time to repay, or you can do this real easy job for me, wink wink nudge nudge. So like, don't play for an hour or two and go like, oh my god, this is so difficult, this is ridiculous. It's like, it may be, but the satisfaction you get once you understand how everything works is totally worth it.
100%. I couldn't have said it better.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
There are like very few sort of like real failure states as well. Like let's say you kind of like decide to take a big loan at the start of the game. If you don't want to pay it back, you can kill that person and get around it.
I wasn't going to mention that, but yeah, that is an option.
But if you're going to take anything from this tactics tutorial, I think the main one is take drugs.
Yeah. And not in our IRL.
No one would ever do it.
No, we don't condone drugs. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. my next step is to try to morph a lot of these videos into a guide. I think this would make a good video guide. And also I got to bundle this into an article that I'm working on as a follow-up to the first one. But thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and look for upcoming content right here in the channel, and definitely join the Discord and get engaged with the community. Anyway, again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on this channel. And this is Jim signing off, saying out. Have a great week and a day.